The day Jacob Harlow bought the abandoned Silver Creek ranch for $1 was the same day. His life split cleanly in two before the ranch, and after the girl he found living inside of it. He had driven 8 hours from the city with nothing but a worn duffel bag, a thermos of stale coffee, and a hope that maybe, just maybe, the quiet land would give him a new beginning after a lifetime of disappointments and losses. The ranch sat at the end of a long, desolate dirt road carved between sunburnt fields of gold, stretching beneath the wide, western sky that looked like it hadn't changed in 100 years. When Jacob stepped out of his truck and slammed the door shut, the wind rolled over the dry grass with a sound like fading whispers, and the sun pressed down on him like something testing his resolve. The real estate agent had told him the place was abandoned for decades, riddled with broken walls, collapsed sheds, rusted fences, and a main house that locals said no one had lived in since the early 90s. In fact, she looked almost embarrassed selling it to him $1. The contract said, because the county wanted it off their books, and nobody else was foolish enough to take responsibility for it. Ranch'll probably fall over in the next storm, she'd joked. But Jacob wasn't afraid of broken things. After losing both his parents early, surviving a painful divorce, burying a best friend, and working construction jobs that barely paid rent, he knew all too well what it meant to pick up shattered pieces and try to make something out of them. He walked through the front gate, a leaning, half-rotten wooden frame that creaked like it resented the weight of his hand, and took a slow breath as he scanned the empty fields around him. No kettle, no horses, no signs of life at all. The house stood like a forgotten skeleton, chipped paint, crooked porch, windows clouded with dirt and age. Still, something about it tugged at him, something lonely but not empty. As he approached the porch, boots kicking dust with each step, he felt the strangest sensation, like eyes watching him. He chalked it up to nerves, but when he reached the door and found it half open, hanging by one rusted hinge, he paused. Someone had been inside recently. He stepped through the doorway cautiously. The interior was darker than he expected, the hallway stretching into shadows that still clung to the corners, even under the afternoon light. A faint smell, dust, old wood, something floral drifted in the air like a memory. Jacob called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" Silence. He walked deeper. The place was a mix of ruin and stubborn survival. Some furniture remained, a rocking chair with one broken leg, a table with carvings etched into its surface, peeling wallpaper revealing the wooden bones of the house. He moved toward the kitchen, stepping carefully over a fallen beam, and froze when he saw it. A plate on the table with food crumbs still fresh, not old, not abandoned. His heartbeat stuttered. Someone was definitely here, and before he could process that, a soft sound floated through the hallway behind him, light footsteps, almost like someone trying not to be heard. Jacob turned abruptly, and there she stood, a girl, barefoot, pale, long, dark hair falling in soft waves over a simple gray dress that looked handmade and worn by years of repeated washing. She couldn't have been more than 19 or 20, though her expression carried something older, like the weight of secrets she had never asked to hold. And she stood in the doorway, like a ghost unsure if she belonged in the world of the living. Jacob raised his hands slowly to show he meant no harm. "I didn't know anyone lived here," he said gently. The girl didn't blink, didn't flinch, just stared at him with an intensity that felt like she was searching his soul for answers he didn't yet know himself. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but steady, like someone who had learned to live quietly. "You're not supposed to be here." Jacob blinked in confusion. I bought this place legally, today, at that." "But Jacob did." She swallowed, looking down at her bare feet, then past him toward the windows, as if expecting someone else to step through at any moment. "No one told me," she whispered, almost to herself. "No one comes here." Jacob could feel the tension in the room tightening, thickening like a rope. He took a step back, giving her space. "Who are you?" She hesitated. Her fingers curled slightly at her sides. She looked as though she didn't remember the last time anyone asked her that. "My name is Emily," she finally said, barely audible. "I've lived here for as long as I can remember." Jacob frowned. "Alone, by yourself?" Emily's stare flicked upward sharply, and he could see fear ripple across her face. "You shouldn't ask questions like that," she murmured. The hairs on Jacob's arms lifted. Something was wrong. Something deeper than a girl squatting in an abandoned house. Something that made Emily's shoulders tense every time the wind hit the walls. "I'm not here to hurt you," Jacob said softly. "I just need to understand." Emily shook her head slowly. "Understanding isn't safe." The room felt colder suddenly, though the sun still burned outside. Jacob's instinct survival shaped by a life full of hardship told him there were answers buried in this house he wasn't ready for yet. But the part of him that had come here for peace, for healing, for purpose, looked at Emily and saw a different kind of brokenness, one he couldn't turn away from. "Emily," he said, voice gentle, "this place isn't safe for you. The county sold it. Someone could have shown up before I did." She lifted her chin slightly, defiance flickering through her expression. "But they didn't. Only you." A moment stretched between them, fragile and electric. Jacob took a slow breath. "Look, I'm not kicking you out. I just want to know what's going on." Emily stepped back into the shadows, gaze sinking somewhere far away. "If you stay here," she said, "you'll learn things you won't be able to forget." Her voice trembled, as if the truth itself was something dangerous. Jacob exhaled. He wasn't a man easily scared, but Emily wasn't scared of him. She was scared of something else, something invisible, maybe lurking in the walls of this forgotten ranch. "Emily," he said softly, "why are you here?" For the first time, her eyes met his fully, openly, and what he saw inside them was a mix of loneliness, grief, and something hauntingly hopeful. "Because," she whispered, "the ranch won't let me leave." Jacob's blood ran cold. The wind howled low around the house, rattling the loose boards like distant warnings. Emily stepped backward, her figure fading into the dim hallway like she belonged to the shadows. "If you're staying," she said, "you should know the rules. You should know what lives here besides." "Emmy," Jacob felt the shift, like the ground beneath him had changed, like he had stepped into a story much older and stranger than he ever imagined. And somewhere deep inside, he sensed that buying the ranch for $1 was no accident, not fate, not chance, a pull, a calling, a doorway he had unknowingly stepped through. Emily's final words before disappearing into the darkness twisted through his mind, chilling and mesmerizing. "The ranch chose you," she said softly, "and now you have to survive it." Outside, the sky burned orange as the sun began to set behind the hills, and Jacob Harlow realized that his fresh start had become something far more dangerous, far more mysterious, and far more life-changing than he had bargained for. But as strange as everything felt, he also knew one thing for certain: he couldn't walk away now. Not from the ranch, and not from the girl with haunted eyes living inside it. And for anyone following this story right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what Jacob is about to uncover in Chapter 2 is darker, deeper, and more shocking than anything you can imagine. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.